Hi, welcome to the new episode of Sportsy, Let's Talk Sports. Today we have with us a seasoned business leader who has his career span across technology, finance to sports. The man who is the founder of Dream Olympic Sport and a promoter of pro baseball in India, Vamsi Krishna. Dream Olympic Sport is an organization started by the group of seasoned business professionals and sports enthusiasts with a dream to build a culture of sports in India. Dream Olympic Sports offers a wide spectrum of services that are carefully designed and moderated by industry experts, keeping in mind the modern day requirement. Dream Olympic Sport has made a rapid stride in the short span and continues to serve the sports wide. So today we have with us Vamsi Krishna, who is a focused leader working on making baseball pro in India.
Hey Vamsi, it's great to have you on Sportsy, Let's Talk Sports. And believe me, we don't get to talk about the sport that we are going to talk about with you now quite often, specifically in India. But it's a great thing that we got to host you today, and looking forward to this chat with you.
Thank you so much, Sid. It's really honored to be invited for this show.
So for our viewers, we have Mr. Vamsi Krishna with us. He is the founder of Dream Olympic Sport, which is an organization working towards making sports a culture in India. At the same time, more than that, one of the interesting topics that we're talking about, other than Dream Olympic Sport, is about pro baseball, and he is making baseball pro in India. So Vamsi, before you come to baseball, how has the journey been? Because you come from technology to finance to multiple aspects before coming into sports. So how the journey has been?
Journey, let me briefly cover. I'm like a electrical and electronics graduate from one of the premier institute from NIT Warangal. So before that, I was a baseball player from 1992 to 1996. I have played a lot of baseball. As you know, we do have a federation well from the 1983 itself. I played a lot of baseball. Then eventually after the graduation, I had to get into the job, all that, like how the things works in India. So it's been 18 years. I worked with two major fintech companies. One is a Tokyo listed company. The second one is a NASDAQ listed company. Been there with the two companies for 18 years as my kind of having my professional journey, like from business analyst to to the level of like a director of those companies. But always, back of my mind, I do have that affinity toward the sport, especially on the baseball front, being maybe the baseball player. The job, the profession has given me a lot of opportunity to travel while doing my profession, like especially the United States and Japan and Korea and Australia. These countries has like a very rich ecosystem for the baseball. They are the kind of a major top 4 or 5 countries on the baseball culture. So I never actually left that baseball, which I have played in my college days. I keep on kind of getting all the information, trying to think about like when is the best time, and wanted to see that this sport will also grow in India. So after like completing, like I would say, like it's not like there is no kind of time limit, but after like spending like 18 years in the profession, having all that my desires satisfied in the career in terms of the career growth, I made a decision like let's come back and settle down in India and do something for the sports. So here we are talking about the professional baseball. So it's a business. To be very honest here, it's a business. But before the business, it's very important to see that the sport is first developed in India. So that's where like to just kind of make to precise answer to your question, journey is as yes, was a technical graduate, spent most of time in the fintech companies and the business roles and the director's roles, eventually trying to kind of get into like the sports, especially on the baseball front as an entrepreneur.
Nice. Believe me, I think while we listen to your journey, I think one interesting thing I just got on is that you've been a baseball player while growing up during the college, and believe me, I've never heard of anybody playing baseball in India till the $1 Million Arm movie came out. But but yes, I always feel that, okay, India has got a very close connection with baseball, the way we play cricket. So I think there is a crash course or something that can be worked on with cricket and baseball. And again, that will be my question to you coming shortly. Before I come to another topic is about the company that you founded, which is Dream Olympic Sport. What is the charter of that, and what actually made you start that while you're focused towards baseball, making baseball professional, and the love was that, but you started a company which is Dream Olympic Sports towards making a sporting culture develop. So what is the charter and how actually you started with that?
Yeah, I can talk about it long, but let me tell you in a very simple sentence. Eventually, the objective and the primary, I would actually see that I have really kind of achieved the goal. If the parent of any child in the country think that sports is also a career option on par with engineering or a medicine or a CA or whatever that. So if I can actually really make that change, that's a kind of a charter I have it. So I wanted to see that every parent here also, a sport is also a career option.
Correct.
That's a kind of a charter. So it's a big one. Eventually, it's not that it is really kind of, it's a one entity can do that. Wanted to work with the whole ecosystem and see that, okay, apart from when the kid growing, they do have always, like you and me also, when we are a kid, like a childhood, wanted to play a lot of sport. So why didn't we actually made careers in the sports? You know, the kind of challenges. But can't we really overcome? Yes, there is a possibility. Like everyone has to work, including the governments and the private players has to work. I think things are happening. Because last 2 decades, you see the economic status of the families living in India also been changing, and people also are able to afford the things which were not been the case. And infrastructure is also developing. It's like if you wanted to kind of have a decent play field for the sports now, apart from like the school fields, or there are a private sports companies building an infrastructure, and they are making that a sustainable model for them also. Now you have a lot of option apart from playing a sport for a fun or a leisure or a fitness. There are options, plenty of options for them, everyone, to actually make the sports is also a career. So that's a primary charter for the Dream Olympic Sports. I think we would actually try to contribute at least 0.1% of it. It's not that we are really the one entity who is going to make all the change, but we will do that our part.
I think, as you rightly said, right, it's not one entity that's going to make change, but I think everybody coming together, I think we can make a big change. And sports is one thing that everybody understands, the language that everybody understands. And I think it's a wonderful thing. It's about taking the plunge, believing something, that getting the things done. And I think you have taken a right step toward Dream Olympic, using Dream Olympic Sports as a platform. Now, even though I wanted to ask you about what got you attracted to baseball, yes, being a player is fine. That okay, that is a love that you had, and the place like India where people are cricket crazy, and one sport nation that we had for so many years, we are luckily changing. We are going to multi-sport nation. But how did you actually got attracted to baseball as a player early days, and then next, because we didn't have access to much of baseball in India from the viewership perspective as well. MLB was there, but we never saw the MLB games in India. So what actually got you attracted to baseball, and where did you find it?
Okay, so apart from me being the player in like those 4 years in my college days, when I really come back and wanted to do this, start the journey in the sports as an entrepreneur. So we have taken the consulting services from the one of the top of 4 consulting groups. And it's been studied, it's been like 6 months. I spent literally 6 months to understand the whole ecosystem. It's just not only in India, across the globe. When I look at these, all the top, let's talk about like at the top economies, like 10 top big economies, US, China, Japan, Germany, and maybe in the like 5th or 6th, depending where the France is, that with the $3 million GDP. So when I try to understand the breakup of the GDP, sports contributes pretty much into every economy, almost 3% of their GDPs, except in India. The reason, because there is a lot of things being very commercialized, and the sports is also looked at as an industry in those economies. So other day I was actually listening to one of your shows also, someone actually mentioning about here thinking process is that sport is always should be free kind of a stuff like that. So it's not that like I'm never think that I'm also parent. My two children, like my two sons, also playing sports. One play basketball, another play football. So I never actually mind spending it. Challenge is that the whole ecosystem. So when I wanted to get the child to play, so I need to spend the same amount of time taking him to the right place and be there with him. So the infrastructure, it is a bit fragmented. So the structure is in non-place. Suppose there is a case, if I leave my kid at a school, after school, if he got a chance to play sports, it's only me to only pick up at the end of the sports. It's perfectly. I think everyone actually love to do it, because it's also not only makes someone to, it's not be just only for making the careers, but making someone very fit. Like a physical exercise is very much essential out there. So coming to the question, like what you were talking about, like the whole why baseball. Let me talk about the why baseball, how I got into a baseball. So as part of those study that I've been talking about with the consulting group, the 6-month study we have done, so we understand what would be the next $1 billion opportunity in India. That's where the simple statement to really kind of comprehensive study on that. Then when we all the demographics, we understand the different states, cultures, and interest and all. Primarily, the one significant thing, we also kind of agree to that factor that there are like a 10 million, it's not exact number I've been talking about, there are around estimated 10 million people love to play a bat and ball sport in this country. 10 million, it's just a big number. It means almost like it's almost like a new country, right? It's like a whole country itself. So then we looked at deep dive into that. Where are they? Like almost all, like 99% or 98% of the people actually looking at the cricket is an option, isn't it? So we looked at it. Then we looked at it. We found like, okay, there is a softball, which is there in India. 1961 is like the Softball Association of India was founded. And 65 onwards, they are active being playing nationals and international matches. Then come to the baseball, 1983 is like the federation founded, and then from 1987 onwards, then we do have a regular matches, international matches also. Me being Hyderabadi, I have spoken to, because Hyderabad has a lot of baseball talent. In fact, India's national team first captain, Mr. Rajendra, is from Hyderabad. So I got connected to him. I have spoken about like what he's feeling, what are the challenges that he had during when I was a player. I don't know Mr. Rajendra, but he was very active. Like he been like, because I'm from like a southern part of Andhra Pradesh. He's living in Hyderabad. We are never connected, but we understand that. Okay. So coming to the question of the baseball, there is 10 million people who are allowed to play bat and ball. Now the option is only the cricket. So then I looked at it. Okay, basic skill of like baseball is concerned, holding a bat, hitting a ball, throwing, pitching. It's primary skill which is on par with the cricket, isn't it? So all that kind of using doing the crash course. I am not really interested in the crash course. We are actually developing a longer term course, people to understand the rule of the game and trying to kind of change their what are the actions. And I think in this pool of 10 million, where the basic skill of bat and ball is already there, they eventually would find an opportunities in baseball. That's whole like thing, like we thought about it, then we started this baseball, apart from me having a big affinity toward the sport of baseball.
So, and so that is fun, and to hear about it, and it's about looking at what is the next $1 billion idea is something that in the sports brings that opportunity to table. And you spoke about the 10 million people ready to play bat and ball sport, and there's a lot of similarity between the baseball and cricket, where we know that everybody in India has played cricket, if not any other sport, at least played cricket somewhere. So it's a nice analogy to make it happen. But we had to, for India to understand baseball, or at least in the proper cities, it took a movie like $1 Million Arm for people to actually understand that what all can be done. So how do you think the baseball can be adopted in the cricket crazy or a battle war crazy country like India? And how can it actually have a parallel stream I don't want to talk about 10 years from now, but sooner than later?
I think it will, any sport, I think it makes a lot of difference when we identify a star in the sport, one single star. So you look at the history, like Indian history, cricket definitely is one of the top sports, but haven't we seen like the craze for the tennis when Sania Mirza has done that? Didn't we see the craze for badminton when PV Sindhu, Gopi Chand, these people actually created these, whatever the international visibility for our stars from India? Similarly, when you always referring to like a baseball, you recollect this $1 Million Arm by the MLB in the 2014, when Rinku Singh and Dinesh Patel got kind of being selected for like taking them to like for the pro development in US. So here what we need is the attention from the international community. Second, believing in that there we can do something. So it's not that we need to have a million number of players to be a popular. I think there is one player who can definitely change the outlook of the sport in this country. Is one player. Fast forward, like let's forget about whatever we would be doing for the next 5 years. Assume that in the next 5 years, exactly in 2027 or something like that, you see one player from India going to play in majors, whether it is in MLB or NPB in Japan, or maybe somewhere in Taiwan also been a pretty good, have their Chinese professional baseball league. If they get into this, at least one major league, don't you think that the whole outlook of that, like that, so people would be definitely like looking at, okay, there is a big opportunity. We know the way how we can actually, the assurance, that is where we are looking at, is that it's about like how much of the effort that we spend on the development of the sport is significantly important. But after spending it, whether do they have an assurance of making a career, or like if making that like get into the elite group of the people where can actually really go and compete with the international or a major tournament. So if their channel is there, and if someone make that, whether 1, 2, 3 people will make it, whether as you rightly said, there are people who've been actually, apart from me, even other groups also trying to actually do something in India, especially on the baseball front. Who is structured? It's not that I should only get succeed. If eventually many people has to adopt this sports, means one has to succeed to make the difference. If someone make it, obviously I think rest of the things is like it's a fall in place, whatever the way you want it.
Yeah, I think very well said. It's like more and more people have to come together and grow the sport together, and it is very much possible if there is a sincere effort towards making it happen. But while you're talking about pro baseball as a thing that you'll be developing across multiple cities, how is MLB playing a role, Major League Baseball playing a role in the whole thing?
See, I will answer this question in a slightly differently. So when we look at the most popular, yes, definitely baseball is an American pastime sport, no doubt. But when we look at the whole other countries, Japan stands in front of USA. In the world ranking, Japan is actually staying.
Yeah.
So, and then you look at the other countries, Korea, Taiwan, He's actually standing at like a number 3 and a number 4.
Okay.
So if I just look at the top five countries, all 4 countries are from Asian continent,
Interesting.
isn't it?
Yeah.
So you can look at the history. So I'm talking about, like, yes, it's definitely commercially MLB has been very successful in US, no doubt. The kind of the club valuations, everything is very, but look at that world ranking: Japan, Korea, Taiwan. Isn't these all these Asian countries?
Yep.
And Australia, softball also, look at it. This has the good presence. So is that for Asian continent, baseball is not at all a new sport. And just to let you know that a very interesting fact, Pakistan Federation started in 1992 and our federation started in 1983, 9 years before Pakistan Federation. And even Sri Lanka, in the world ranking, Pakistan standing at number 26 and Sri Lanka has 41. Do you know we are at 71?
Oh, wow.
Pakistan is 26th ranking in the world ranking in the baseball.
Interesting. Okay.
41 is the Sri Lankan rank, and we are at the 71. So it's okay. So sheer dominance of a cricket, no problem. Like, because see, that's where I'm talking about. Like, it's about like opportunities for the people who paying the sport. Opportunities. So coming to the question of the why, first of all, people ask me the questions. I don't see much of a baseball in India. Does it really make sense for anyone to really do a pro baseball in India? That's a very plain black and white question. If someone wanted to play a devil's advocate role and asking me this, perfectly okay. My answer is very simple. See, here is that we can spend a lot of effort and amount on the development. So how do we create an opportunities for the players?
Correct.
Where are those sports opportunities? We can't have everyone to actually play nationals and get those certifications to get into the jobs, or maybe whatever that reservation we call it as an Indian system. Everyone can't adapt to the same model, right? There are people who wanted to be professionally kind of make it as a profession. See, thing is, the sports has a very limited period. Actually, if someone want to be a pro player, the best career age for the pro would be probably starting from 16 max to max. He can actually be a pro player for a 32 or something. He can't really be a pro player after 32. He can actually do a mentor coaching, whatever that be. It's a short career. And we really look at, to be a pro player at the age of 16 or 18, one has to start this development at the age of maybe 8, 9 or 10. Do you think, like, in our culture, whatever the culture way we have grown up, we do have an opportunity to really think and really get into the development of any sport to a pro player? So that's where, so here, what we wanted to do as a why it's all like whole invention, actually what we've been talking about before, yes, we are actually concentrating on, like, it's not only them, even the federation people concentrating on the development of the sport, because their bounded duty as a federation, it has to do some grassroots development. As you said, that there are other private entities like MLB or few other people also trying to actually really get the grassroots development happening in India for a longer term growth and for longer term benefit. People are ready to invest. So what I wanted to do as an organization, we wanted to do is that for the people who've been actually really getting into this stream of the grassroots level development and all, so for them, what are those options for them to really excel, improve, and make a careers over there? So do they have an option? That's where we see that ours actually have some data, like there are around like 20,000 baseball players actively play baseball. Where are they? They are at remote places like in Maharashtra, Chhattisgarh, Punjab, Rajasthan. Even if you go on now, rather than searching in Google, if you even Facebook and do a search, there are a lot of clubs, small clubs. Those club visibility right now is very limited to a particular town in I know there is a district called Satara in Maharashtra. I have visited that place. It's an amazing to see that almost all the schools really play baseball
Oh, wow.
there.
Okay.
And when I go into like a Pali area in Rajasthan, they do regularly almost every weekend. They have some kind of a tournament among those districts or maybe small towns which is near the Pali area. Then actively there is a lot of community of the people. So here the pro is that it definitely makes sense on a business point of view and a long-term player development point of view. This is the kind of a platform we wanted to create so that if eventually they wanted to get into the majors, whether it's like a US majors, like a Japanese majors, or maybe a Chinese majors, if they wanted to. So this should be a platform for someone to be a right professional player to make their careers in the majors. That's where the vision of this platform. So I don't equate this pro as majors because this definitely a good platform for anyone to make the major careers.
Interesting. I think it's a very clear thought process that you have, and it's very good to know a leader like you who is very sorted about the way they want to grow a sport, because it is always going to be a sport which is parallel to the regular ecosystem of Indian sports, because we are talking about cricket or football or kabaddi, and these sports are picking up in India, and basketball and badminton and tennis. We're talking about baseball and developing that. So just to understand the model, you right now the pro baseball is getting played at the multiple city level. There are multiple cities who are playing as the franchisees.
It's not a pro baseball. They are having some kind of tournaments because those people are nearly not paid by anyone. It's more about their interests. They do have a competition, but we may not call this as a pro baseball because no one paying for their play, right?
Right. No, so I want to ask you, how is pro baseball's model is right now?
Okay, so our previous model, okay, there would be a league starting. This Premier League Baseball, PLB, Pro Baseball League starts from 2024. We've been thinking about a season in the month of October and November. That's a kind of a season. 24 season and 25 season. Season 1 and season 2 will be at one city only, which is Hyderabad. We already kind of, maybe we might even extend that, maybe one of the northern Indian cities also. But right now we've been thinking about doing this season 1 and season 2 at one city. The reason because we need to have a good infrastructure to do this league, isn't it? So building the infrastructure as of like building from 0 to minimum 8 fields, it's a difficult challenge. We can't, very unrealistic to aim to actually have 8 fields coming up for 8 cities in the next 3 years time. So we already has a good piece of land in Hyderabad, which we are actually developing as a proper baseball field. In fact, 2 fields which eventually be a platform for the pro league. So 24 and 25, all the players, pro players who will be participating and actually really playing in the pro league will be contracted and have an agreements, the player agreements with the league, not with the clubs. This is a slightly different model than the other pro leagues that is there in India. So league will have a contract with the players, and league would be primary responsibility to development of the players for their entire season development. And 24 season and 25 season, all the 8 clubs more concentrating on their marketing strategies, on their brand strategies, and what are the field development for the future leagues. That's what the 24 and 25 for the clubs is concerned. And we would allocate whole set of these pro players will be actually categorized into 4 brands, grade A, grade B, grade C, and grade D brands. And the source for these players will be 3. So one source for the players, we will actually look at the national federation, see the best players coming from the national federation pool. That is one source. Second source would be the like imported players. Like we already have a good MOUs with a couple of AA leagues outside India. They agreed to actually send their players to play in Premier League baseball. So second source is that. And the third source is that whatever the clubs that we actually right now starting, helping the people to start. So if there are any players are ready to play for 24 and 25, that is the third source. Eventually 26 onwards, the players who will be developed as part of our college program or a high school program, they eventually get into the stream of playing this pro league. So league will have the players for 24 and 25 seasons, and 26 season onwards, clubs will take the responsibility of the player development, eventually getting into the regular model of like playing from the 26 onwards.
Interesting. I think this is pretty good, and I think we are looking forward to the season one in a couple of years from now. I think it's going to be really interesting to see this. And since we already have almost 13, 14 leagues, different sport leagues in India, I think this will be one league which will be different because most of the sports which we are talking about are being played in India for longest time at masses that people know about. Even though baseball is getting played since '83 as a federation in India, but as we don't get to see it at every nook and corner. And I think with this league coming up, I think we will see them at the development stage because that's how the pyramid gets developed: development to competitive to elite level. I think it's amazing way to look at it. Uh, coming to last part of the chat, our chat for today is uh, about the dream Olympic sport that you have. It's about what is the vision about building sporting culture in India, and what is your message to the all the dreamers in sports? Either they want to be athletes or they want to be management guys, they want to be entrepreneurs, all those things.
It's the message. I don't want to keep it as like it's like a broader statement of like everyone should buy in this idea. I do believe that this would be a major opportunity for the people who has the love towards the sport, whether it's an athlete or like a coaches or a management people, even for the rest of the people, like even for the broadcasters and rest of the whole ecosystem here, is that India stands at a right stage to explode in the sports, and it eventually becomes a big economy and a big contributor for the development of the Indian economy. So we are at a very nascent stage, and we have been very successful with only one or two sports, both in the development side and the league side. Eventually, if I try to look at like there is a list of 56 sports which Indian government already recognizes it from the youth development point of view and trying to help that. This would actually, if the private industry, so because whole ecosystem has to support, because with the government funding, you can only develop the sport and we can have a limited infrastructure. If the private participated it and see it as an industry on par with any other industry, like a software service industry, like maybe an agriculture industry or a pharma industry, someone see it as a sports and industry and start investing it. It's not that everyone should invest in the player development. I would request people, even the private corporates also, the business which are meant for like a profit also, look at an opportunity space in the infrastructure development, sports infrastructure development. There is a huge opportunity, because when the infrastructure utilization, whatever the limited, because you go and actually see that in the major cities right now, only tier 1 cities you have a major infrastructures for the sports. And tier 2 cities, there is enough space. We don't have it. Like it's a big country, vast country. It's like we have enough space. If someone try to invest in this infrastructure, they definitely will make a business over there. So broader statement which you ask me is that simple. Like I do believe in. I think everyone has that. We are just waiting for that one moment to take it off.
Yeah.
So because when I look at, though we have spent only 8 months from the 2019 May to March 2020, that is the time which has given to us to really kind of meet the schools, because from 2020 March onwards, we were kind of hit with the corona. We couldn't actually really go and visit these many schools to talk about it. There is a lot of passion among the schools and the kids and the parents also to try the novel sports like a baseball. They are very excited. We went there with the whole kit of like sluggers, helmets, balls, gloves, and other catching kit and all. They're pretty excited to see it's more of like a fancy dress competition for them to kind of wear it and actually read. So I see it's not just a baseball. For every sport, there is a big opportunity for us. We are at a stage, we are a 1.4 billion people. Our affordability, like we are able to afford what we want, whether right now. Big one interesting thing which we come across during our study is that sports is the second biggest entertainment economy across the globe.
Yeah.
Sport, isn't it? So it's not even the movie industry. It's the sport industry is the biggest entertainment economy after that. Whatever that amusement parks or like e-gaming and all. When you look at it, this is a sports. So people of 1.4 billion, where is the biggest consumer, whether it is buying a sports equipment, playing the sports or watching the sports? We in the like 1/6 of the world population is actually in India. I think we have a lot of opportunities over there. Message is that I think in the next 10 or maybe decade, you will see a lot of changes in the sports industry, and people, lot of stars would become not only the cricket stars, there would be baseball stars, tennis stars, badminton stars, football stars. You will come across. Then not just only they would be playing in Indian pro leagues, they would also find a better place in international majors also in across every sport.
Yeah, I think that will be amazing, and that's what we look forward to, and that's what we ourselves also the dreamers of the sports industry, right? And it's great to hear from you, and it's good to amaze. It's good to hear about amazing sport, which I got to play while in the US and experience it. But now I'm looking forward to playing here soon, and looking forward to having more and more chat with you, Vamsi. It's wonderful hosting you here. Thank you for your time. Take care and stay safe.
Thank you, Sid, and have a good evening for you.
Thank you. Thank you for watching, thank you for liking, and thank you for sharing. But please do subscribe to our channel Sportsy Sage and help us spread the word about Sportsy. We go with the same handle Sportsy Sage across all the social media platforms and podcasts.